Hello, 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 hello. Guess what today is? Healing Monday. um, and look, a dragonfly. Anyway, um, I was really contemplating on. Actually, it's two dragonflies. Hmm. Anyway, I'm sorry. I was contemplating on if I wanted to do a video or not. Today because I was beating myself up, kind of still am beating myself up for not doing a video yesterday, but I was doing a lot yesterday, so I have to learn how to give myself a little bit of grace. But today is starting our first interaction lesson in a sense of healing. All right. I really just don't want um these videos that I do solely based on me. Of course, I will be incorporating my little, not my little, but like my experience and like how I um, cope with it and what I do to cope with it, my negative coping skills and my positive coping skills. Um, so yeah, I will be incorporating that. But today we'll be talking about trauma. And what are the three types of trauma? Um, I got um, I got inspired by the course that I'm taking. I'm in Healer Circle 4 at SAU University. I have my little bag that I got, so I'm gonna show it. So yeah, Spiritual Ascension University. I do attend that university. I'm actually in two courses. I think last video I have talked about it. I'm in Inner Circle, and we're almost completed with that course, and I'm in 7 certification. Um, and we ended our chakra course. Um, Sorry about that. But we had ended our chakra course last Wednesday, and I had did a video Monday that week, and something was just speaking to me to do a video on trauma and the three traumas that I learned. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. All right, so bear with me. I did take notes. So I am a little nervous on how I want to go about it. Um, because I am still learning and I am still trying to figure out and navigate how I want to express myself to you guys. And how I want to uh, give out this information. I just don't want it to be like, oh, she don't know what she's talking about, or what is she talking about, So I wanted to have some type of um, order. I couldn't think of the word, but yes, order. Um, so let's begin. So trauma. What is trauma? Um, a lot of people will have their own definition of what trauma is. Um, and I'm sorry if you can see I'm a little high. I'm sweating. I didn't even bring no tissue out here to even wipe my sweat. So just bear with me today. All right. Um, but anyway, so trauma. A lot of people would say trauma is most people would say childhood. Like childhood have gave them a lot of trauma because they've been through a lot of trials and tribulation during that time. Um, but the definition of trauma is an experience an emotional response to a terrible event. Um, like a car accident or any type of accident, but I would say like a car accident as an example, or being sexual assaulted, or even a natural disaster can affect the mental and physical well-being of a person. So that's what trauma is. So trauma is basically emotional response to a terrible event or stressful event in your life. Like I said, for the example, a car accident, a physical assault, sexual assault, um, any, I won't say anything, but like basically anything in that nature, and natural disasters. Um, so I do want everybody to understand that everybody trauma and everybody experience is unique. All right, everybody don't have the same trauma or the same challenges in life. That can make somebody say, "Oh well, that wasn't traumatic," or "You're just being a baby. That wasn't traumatic," because everybody different. Everybody experience of something traumatic can be different. All right, like I said, everybody's unique. Everybody's not the same. Like for instance, a traumatic event for me could been my sister getting hit by a car. That's traumatic for me because I almost lost a sister. But most people are like, oh, well, that's not traumatic because you wasn't in it. You know, so it's really based on how people can perceive of what's traumatic and what's not traumatic. But for me personally, tra- um, trauma is whatever affects you mentally and emotionally and physically. All right. So, during those stressful events, the body and the mind become overwhelming, which engage the nervous system into a flight, fight, or freeze response. I know everybody on this app have heard of fight and flight, but most of some people probably haven't heard freeze. People is more like, oh, I'm fighting or I'm leaving a flight, you know? Um, and with those events, um, of those responses, I mean, like with the flight, like me, I'm more of a flight situation. Not situation. I'm more of using a flight response in most of my situations that I have with people or just in general because it's just easier for me to just walk away. It's easier for me to just forget it. I don't care and I'm gone type energy. And sometimes I have learned that I am in the state of fighting and not like physically fighting, but I would say like being combative and argumentative towards things because I noticed that it is easier for me to lash out than actually and physically communicate how I feel. Um, and then, like I said, with the fight, it's more of like arguing or even physically fighting. Most people that is stressed, I'm sorry, it's like sweat and I don't I'm just trying to wipe my sweat. It's hot over here. Anyway, I'm sorry, kind of getting off track. But with the fight, most people will fight if they are really like if their body and mind and soul is in a distressed state to the point where they trying to fight themselves out of there. You hear me? They trying to do anything in their might to just fight it off and not think about it and not feel it because it's better for not saying that it's better, but most people feel like it's better to not feel something or sense something when it's traumatic for them. All right. And then the freeze response. When I kind of just learned about this a couple months ago, I think. So in the freeze response is basically like if you if you um had the experience of being raped. Most people, not most people, some people probably will flight. That means mentally they're not there. They think of something else. They probably close their eyes and imagine themselves in a happy place, a safe place. Some people will try to fight, which you're trying to fight their way out of that so it won't happen to them. Even in the midst of having it done to them, they will probably still try to fight it off. And then freeze, you know. Some people just probably just sit there and have their body just lay there and just not know what is going on. They don't know how to feel because it's just like, I never had this done before. I never had this happen to me before. I don't know. And I don't know state is the freeze state, you know? um, Not saying everybody operate out of those responses, because most people is numb to the pain, numb to the trauma, and just go about their everyday life, you know. um but some people it's really hard for them to even function, to even understand some things in their life because of the trauma um that happened to them. All right. So let's move on to the three different types of trauma. All right. My professor Adrian, she is a wonderful chakra doctor. Um, she taught us basically like from the basis of why we should learn chakras, the different types of chakras, and then we moved on to the traumas and how can we work on the traumas, um, and to heal those traumas. So she is a wonderful teacher. If you ever want to learn more about chakras or learn more about, I would say trauma also, um, I refer y'all to her. I will tag her Instagram. No, this is not a promo video. I'm just the type of person that I would like for people to get. If I'm like whatever information I receive, I won't mind giving it out for y'all to look up or for y'all to have your own interpretation, because what I think and how I feel is not the same for you guys. All right. Um. So the three different types of trauma. Um. It's acute trauma, chronic trauma, and complex trauma. All right. So I will be trying to break down those traumas. Hopefully, y'all can understand me and the different types of trauma. If not, of course, I could always do another video. Um, just comment below and let me know. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm gearing off from the topic. So acute trauma. Acute trauma is basically a result from a single accident that happened in your life. Um, Basically, like for an example, like I said before, a car accident. Somebody can have a car accident one time, and that could be very detrimental to them to the point they can't drive. Even though it's something small because it only happened once, but it could be something big for them. A physical altercation. Somebody that never fought before but had to fight can be very. It can be traumatic for them. Like, they probably not a fighter. They may be a lover, and they had to come out of that shell to try to defend for themselves or defend for somebody else that they love. And it probably was traumatic for them because it's something that they probably never done before. Um, or even, like I said, a sexual assault, like being raped. That could probably happen one time, but it can still be very traumatic for somebody. Even though it's small, and in cute, it can still be traumatic for somebody because somebody didn't want to give themselves up to that individual and that individual took it. Okay, so though that's one of um acute for me. I would say for acute trauma in my life that was a single incident, I would say fighting, a physical altercation. I never really fought outside of my family. Like, the only person I mainly fought was my sister. Of course, my brothers. I have three brothers, so of course I fought them. But outside of that, I really only fought my sister and my three brothers. Um, when I had to fight outside of them, it was a little traumatic for me because I wasn't in the mode of fighting. I just wanted my sister to be safe and for us to go home. It was late at night. I may share that story. Matter of fact, I can just go ahead and share it. Okay, so it was one night. Um, my sister had went out with a friend of hers. And they was drinking. Excuse me, and they had stopped at Wawa's to get something to eat and to go home. Um, and her friend was really belligerent and very drunk. So she was basically like starting fights or whatever. Um, so let's speed up the story. So my sister and then one of the coworkers at Wawa started to go back and forth with one another. My sister had left her purse there, and her friend had her phone. So me and my mom had to drive up to Wawa's where they was at to get my sister's phone and her wallet. So my mom retrieved all of that, but my sister still couldn't find her phone. So my mama had took my sister friend home, and I had my sister in the car with me, and I was gonna take her home. So when my mom had dropped the girl home, the girl was like, "Well, I got her phone, and she got my phone, and I'm not gonna get her phone back." And my sister was like, "I don't have her phone. She have her phone. Can I just get my phone?" So me and my sister we rolled up to the girl house, and the girl just popping off, yelling, like I said, acting belligerent. And I'm in the car waiting for my sister to get her stuff. So her and my sister are still going back and forth. And I'm like, it's almost, I think it was like almost 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, it's getting late. Excuse me. I don't know if I had to work or not, but it's getting late. It's kids in the house. Even though my brother, my oldest brother was there, but kids is in the house, like, we need to get back. So I got out the car and she like waving the phone in my sister's face. So I grabbed the phone and the girl had grabbed me. And so we're tussling, fighting or whatever. And I got in the car. Mind you, my adrenaline is pumping. I'm just like really furious. I'm upset because I'm just like, it didn't have to go that far. You just had to give my sister her phone and we could have just left. So I'm sitting there like trying to like calm myself down or whatever. And and then my sister had looked at me and she said, "She cut you. She cut you." And I'm just like, huh? Huh? She was like, "She cut you, Dominique. She cut you." So I had a slit like right here. I don't think you can see it because it kind of it healed, but it was a slit, not that deep, but it was bleeding. And my sister was like getting more upset and more irate and wanted to go back. I said, "Don't worry about it. We can go in the house, clean it, and we're gonna go home." After that, I was like, "Yeah, fighting take a lot out of me," and I'm not the one to fight. I may argue, and I'm gonna prove my point, but I would never have to put my hands on somebody for somebody to understand where I'm coming from. So that was really traumatic for me. And that was like a couple years ago. Another, I would say, acute trauma for me was when I was in middle school. Um, and we was all in social study class. I can remember this. I can remember this like it was yesterday. All right, so we was in social study class, and we were coming from lunch. So it was a girl that stepped on the back of my shoe, and that day I had wore some Chuck Taylors, some blue and white Chuck Taylors. Like I said, I can remember this like it was yesterday. And me, I was like, dang. Like I turned around, I'm like, dang. But me, I wasn't mad, I wasn't upset. It was like a joking dang. Cause it was like, dang girl, like watch your step. Like you stepping on my shoe. Like you could hold on, you know? So when we got in the classroom, I sat on my friend's desk, me and the girl, we talking or whatever, and then my teacher was like, all right, everybody get back to your seats. We about to resume the lesson. So I'm like, okay. So I went back to my seat, getting my notes, my notebook out to take my notes or whatever. And mind you, it's a girl that sit behind me, like the row beside me, but behind me. And she's very like drama filled because she ain't everybody business. But hey, she was like, ooh. So me, I'm not listening to the ooh. I'm trying to get ready for class. So then she was like, ooh, Dominique, you gonna let her talk to you like that? And I'm like, what was said? What was said? And then she was like, the girl was like, oh, I'm not the girl name. I'll beat your ass. And I'm like, nobody said you were fucking raging, but you got something to say, come say it in my motherfucking face. So me saying that, I got suspended for 3 days, and the girl got suspended for. She didn't even get suspended. She got ISS for 3 days, and I'm like, she the one that's basically about to come fight me because she got up and tried to walk around to come to me. But mind you, we had a security guard inside the classroom, so I'm like, be realistic. You really think we about to fight if there's a security guard inside the classroom? It's not about to go down. So yeah, so that really like taught me, or it shaped me on how I feel about females and how I feel about relationships. um so that was like a cute trauma for me. Because it wasn't physical, but it was very like argumentative, and it was like, it was no need for that. Like, if you had something to say and you was mad, you could have came to me like, dang, Dominique, I felt some type of way because you was aggressive because I stepped in the back of your shoe. But I could have told you it wasn't that serious. All right. So then the second trauma is chronic trauma. All right. So trauma, blah, 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 that's a tongue twister. The chronic trauma is repeated and prolonged. All right. So this is like a repeated offender, basically. So it's basically like domestic violence, abuse. It can be a sexual or verbal. Um, and I had starred bullying. Bullying is like, I was reading up on it before, while I was taking my notes, and bullying is something that is prolonged and it is repeated. Not saying that it can be repeated by somebody else, like by the same person, but it can be repeated just in general by somebody, you know, just bullying you. So my examples for that, I was bullied, of course. Not of course, but I was bullied in middle school and elementary school. Um, Mainly because of how I looked. Um, I didn't really grow into my face and my head until probably like eighth grade, ninth grade year of school. But yeah, I was bullied a lot. I was bullied about how I talked, how I read, about me not even knowing how to say a couple words because I have a list. So me having a list, I can't pronounce. Excuse me, I'm sorry, but I cannot pronounce I can't pronounce a couple words because of how um, I say words. Um, but yeah, and like sexual abuse, that can be if you're being molested or if you are being raped, ongoing, like from a young age until a teenage age, or even from a teenage age to an adult age, because everybody have the right to say no. And if you don't want to and somebody take it, that consider, consider that. And domestic violence, that's basically and even if you wasn't in a domestic violence, but like you had witnessed domestic violence, that's still traumatic for you. That's still like a chronic trauma for you because you experienced it. Like, for instance, if your mother and father is arguing and fighting every day, all day, you gonna probably grow up and feel like arguing and fighting is how you show love. That's trauma. That is trauma. That's traumatic for you, and that's a form of trauma. So it's prolonged. It's repeated all of your life. Even if you didn't live with your mom and your father, or you live with one parent, but you always hear your mother yelling at you, or you always hear your mom yelling and cussing and fussing, you're gonna feel like growing, like when you grow up, or even in your adult age, you think yelling, fussing, and cussing is the way to prove a point or give your point across. And that's not. It's communication, expressing, using I statements. Um, but yeah, so that's basically chronic trauma. Um, for me, I would say I lived in a single parent household. So my mother never abused us verbally, She never called us out our name. She never told us we were stupid. She never said that we wasn't worth, like, she never said anything negative towards us. But, however, my mother was a yeller. My mother did yell a lot. To yell, she yelled at us to go sit our ass down, to go clean up. Anything that you could think of a black mother would say to a child. And she's a single parent. So, me being 25 years old, I can see myself reverting back to what I have seen as a child, where I would yell at my nieces and nephews when they're not doing something right, even though they don't know what to do. I would yell at them. I would yell at them in the sense of they already know, but they don't know, you know? Um, so it's basically like I'm basically doing that pattern all over again with my niece and nephews. Um, and so I'm basically giving them chronic trauma. But of course, in this, I am trying to heal that because I want my niece and nephews to be able to come to me and talk to me, even if they can't come and talk to their mother and express how they feel and express what they're thinking about and how they feel, you know? Um, the third trauma is complex trauma. Okay, so complex trauma is basically exposure of varied and multiple traumatic events, often as an invasive interpersonal nature. Yes. All right. So, for an example, I have moving around a lot, being homeless. Um, that is is multiple because one minute you could be in a house, the next minute you're on the street. 1 minute you're in a house, the next minute you're on the street. That's very traumatic for you because you never been stable. It's very instability for you. Um, Having an inconsistent parent. Like I said, I live in a single parent household. So I don't know if any of y'all had a single parent household. So that means having a father, but your father is very inconsistent. You know, abandoned, feeling abandoned from that parent. That's the complex trauma because it's multiple times. It's not like it's kind of tricky with chronic, but it's more like I said, abandonment issues. That stems from complex trauma. Like an example, like for me, my father was in my life. I'd seen my father. I knew my father, but did my father know me? No. Me and my father, we had like when I turned 13, that's when me and my dad we really that's my first time I got my feet done, the first time I got my nails done. The first time I even went to Kings Dominion was with my dad. Um, so me and my dad, we started to have a good relationship in my teenage years. But I noticed when I was younger, elementary school, my dad really wasn't around. My dad was around, but wasn't always around. Like we get to see our dad maybe every other weekend or maybe once a month. It all depends. So that what gave me attachment issues and abandonment issues because I get very attached to other people and sometimes their experience like it's my own because I don't want to feel that loneliness. I don't want to feel that abandonedness. Um, so I get very attached, or sometimes I get very detached because I don't want to feel that that abandonedness energy or just that feeling. Um, so yeah, so that's a example, or even financial instability. Like I said, that does play a part in being homeless and moving around a lot because that could because your mother probably wasn't financially stable or your mother probably was financially stable but you didn't have the means that you need like clean clothes or have clothes that fit you or have nutrition food, different things like or like your mom, probably, or your mother or father, chose people before you, and always put you on the back burner. That can be complex because that falls in front of abandonment. Because your mother could or your father could have abandoned you and not make you feel um, the love and the care that you needed. You know. Um, so I do have some symptoms on symptom that people may feel or experience having these traumas. Some people can feel numbness or shock, like I said, with the sexual abuse um, or the sexual assault. Um, People can feel numb. So that means, like, if they are trying to be intimate with a person, it could probably shock their body to the point they can't do it. I had watched me and my boyfriend, we had watched The Luckiest Girl Alive. I think it's on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. If it's not on Netflix, I think it's on Max. Um, that was a good movie. It basically was a girl that was new to a school and she was raped at one of the kids' parties, and she had told two of her friends, and two of her friends were tired of the popular kids bullying the kids that was misfortunate. So they went and basically shut up the school, shut up anybody that was a part of that group. And the girl, so you know, like, of course, how the movie goes, it shows you like scene by scene by scene. So the scene where the girl, she was raped by the boy that she liked, but the boy was like, when she had told the boy, he kind of like shunned her and told her that she don't know what she's talking about and that she's trying to get everybody in trouble, but that wasn't the case because she didn't want to, and her body language was basically indicating that she didn't want it. But then the second boy, which was the boy that she liked, friend, actually proceeded to rape her, and she was screaming, "No, no, no, stop, stop, stop." Um, so all her life, she basically she didn't know how to, I would say, accept love for somebody else and actually be herself, because she always put on a facade for others around her. Um, so yeah, that's a really good movie for a trauma. I would say for complex trauma. Um, well, not even complex. I would say complex and chronic trauma. That's a good movie. But anyway, the symptom, the symptom and that people may feel and experience, like I said, numbness and shock, denial. That means some people might be in denial of what happened to them. And say, "Oh no, that didn't happen," or they would say, "I don't think that's how it went," you know, because of course how the brain works. Some events are altered to make the person feel safe or to make them feel okay, you know. Um, some people may feel or experience confusion. Like I said, the brain may alter the event where you're clashing 4 or 5 events into that one event, whereas like that probably what didn't happen, and something in that statement probably did happen, or that didn't happen at that time, it probably happened a different time. So that can be a issue, not an issue, but that can be an experience or a feeling that most people can have. Paranoia, like like for an example, if you was assaulted, physically assaulted, like being mugged or even getting jumped, you will always be like looking behind you, making sure like nobody's following you. Even like if you in your car, you probably would lock all the doors, check all the mirrors, look around like a couple times before you drive off. Or, you know, like that kind of being paranoid, in a sense. Or some people may experience depression. And depression, I can talk about that in a separate video of the different signs of depression, because there are different signs of depression. Because some people think like, oh, I'm not in the bed eating ice cream and watching and binge watching Living Single all day, so no, I'm not depressed. That doesn't mean that you aren't depressed, but you're actively like hyperly being active in something. Like for me, I know when I'm depressed when I have a million things in my head and I'm trying to do a million things at once and I crash. So depression do show up for me due to my traumas. Also because part of me feel like I'm not doing enough. Due to my traumas, which make me fall into being angry. That's another experience or a feeling. Being ashamed. I really do experience being ashamed a lot and feeling guilty about not doing something of what I say I'm gonna do. But hey, I am learning that hey, I gotta give myself grace. It's only 24 hours in a day. 8 of those hours I work an intense job. And then I come home and help my sister with her kids. So it's like trying to balance and, like I said, give myself grace and space of not doing anything or just doing a little, you know? Um, some people, like I said, do experience anger, and anger can be being snappy, argumentative, closed off, just mad about anything and everything. They can be mad about the sun, and they're not really mad about the sun. They're just mad about the day, the day that happened when it was a sunny day, the event that happened on a sunny day. They could just be mad about that. You know, it's always something deep. I want y'all to understand that when it deals with trauma, it's something deep down in your soul, and your soul truly knows, and your inner child knows, and you have to find ways to bring those situations up and those events up so you can sort them out to differentiate what trauma it is and how to work through those traumas. Um, because that's the only reason why we're here, to be honest, is to really work through the trauma and ascend. And you can't ascend if you still have trauma on your heart, if you still have trauma in your soul, because that means you haven't healed that part of you at all. And that jump into how to heal trauma. um of course, the main thing I will say, and maybe cliche, um is meditate and ask yourself, if you're not connected to like any spirit guide, spirit team, ancestors or anything, meditate. um that take about 10 minutes out your day, um and truly ask yourself, like when you feel stressed or you feel triggered, um because trigger is, it stems from trauma. Like me, repeating myself, that's a trigger for me. But that trigger stemmed from my mother not repeating herself in the household. My mother will only say something once, and if you didn't understand what she said, you better ask one of your siblings. Or if you ask her again, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get cussed out or you're gonna get your ass whooped. So for me, I don't like repeating myself, because I felt like if you heard me the first time, why do I need to repeat myself the second time? But I'm learning that most people don't learn by you saying something once. Some people are visual learners. Some people are audio learners. Some people are both. Some people need to be told and seen what they need to do. Um, so yeah, um, that is the video for today. I hope you learned something. I hope you got something from this video. If you don't mind, you can always share um, what trauma shows up for you the most. Is it acute trauma, chronic trauma, or complex trauma? And let's talk about it. Um, like I said, I'm here for you guys. I'm here to help heal. I'm on my own journey trying to heal myself with these traumas. And I'm still learning the different trauma that is a stem from other traumas. Um, so yeah. So as further ado, don't fuck up nobody else's day if you can't have a good day. Um, if nobody told you today, I love you. You are kind, you are special, and you are amazing. You are greatness. You are put on this earth to do something great. And if you don't feel like that, it's understandable. But just understand that you are meant to do something great because you are greatness. I love you. And you always have a place in my heart. um, so love, peace. So, all right.